Hello?
Okay.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome back. Can we have you all stand where you are again? Raise those hands up. Credit is my friend.
Credit is my friend.
Is God's money anyway?
It's God's money anyway. Guys, we have just been blessed tonight, haven't we? So we want to continue with the blessing that we have tonight. So one of the things that we've been doing this month on the series, we've been talking about Dr. Orpheus Hayward. He's just such a great minister that we have here at the Renaissance Church of Christ. And he's been talking about putting God first in everything that we do. Just kind of changing our life so that our life is centered around Christ. And this, understanding this, helps us to be able to do that. So our next session tonight, our final session will be Owe No Man Nothing But to Love. It addresses debt and credit management.
And leading this session are Tanya Sellers, a 25-year tax veteran and CEO of Essential Enterprises EDU, LLC, also known as the Queen of Cash Flow, and Floyd Williams. Let's give them both a warm welcome as they come to the stage. Oh, FYI, we may go a little bit over, so we hope that you stay and enjoy this presentation.
Y'all look serious. Y'all was up here laughing and smiling with Brother Floyd and everybody. Y'all ain't gonna smile for me. How y'all doing out there? As she stated, my bio is up there. I'm Tanya Sellers, also known as the Queen of Cash Flow. And when you connect with me, I make your money grow. So that's my bio, my intro. But guys, you know we got this little saying in church that you don't know my story, so you won't understand my glory. Can I tell y'all my story real quick before I jump into this credit? Is that okay? I promise to be real brief, okay? We good? Okay. So, guys, what started my credit journey was the fact that, honestly, my credit was so bad, my cash was no good. Anybody ever had that problem? I mean, I couldn't rent a car. I booked a vacation for my children. I'm a proud mother of 5 kings, as you guys can see on the screen. And I booked the vacation, you know, me and my boys, we're gonna do the whole universal trip thing, prepaid for our hotel, prepaid for our rental car and everything, because when we get down to Florida, we gonna ball till we fall. Crazy mindset, but that was my mindset, okay? Get to the place Avis, and you know when you, even though you prepay, you got to show them your driver's license and either a credit card or a debit card. Well, the only credit card that I had at that time was way over the limit and about to be closed out. So I gave them my debit card. And what they did was they said, oh, well, we have to run a credit check. Run a credit check, because the car prepaid for, so the key's coming with me, right? So she ran a credit check, and she comes back and she says, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Sellers, because you didn't pass the credit check. We can't reach the car. And I'm thinking like, well, I didn't pay for this car. And that's when that whole bye Felicia I was like, bye Felicia, keys please. And she said, well, no, you know, we'll refund you your money in 3 to 5 days. And I'm thinking like, wait a minute, I'm about to go down to Florida. You know, we about to ball till we fall. I don't have 3 to 5 days. Like, I need this card today. So we had to take my debit card, go down to Enterprise, because they let you use a debit card, had to spend extra money out of my trip. I had to, you know, just really feel like a failure. And so that was my credit journey, guys. I didn't like it. That was my truth. And so I set out to change it, okay? And so I share that story because I like people to know that if I can bring my scores back from where they were, anybody can. So we want to jump into it right now because I got a lot of information to get out, and I really do want to make sure that we're respecting you guys' time. So the first thing I want to do is to jump into some fundamentals about credit, okay? Because a lot of us don't know that we as consumers, we have rights and we're protected. We're protected by this little legislation called the FCRA. Anybody familiar with the FCRA? Oh yes. The FCRA is our friend, okay? It was constructed, for consumers. It was passed by Congress in 1970, and it dictates the action of the credit reporting agencies, also known as credit bureaus and everything. And I think that credit bureau thing kind of like scare all of us. But are you guys aware that these major agencies, Equifax, Treasury, and Experian, do you guys know that they're private companies? These are not federal companies, but I think that title bureau, because it's always associated with the government, makes us as consumers think that they're government, agencies, but they're not. Each one of them are private companies, okay? And the FCRA was put in place to protect us as consumers. So guys, we actually have laws on our side, to protect us in these against these creditors and lenders. But the thing is this, we don't know better. But now, tonight, we're gonna learn better and we're gonna do better. Is that all right? All right, so guys, let's talk about what Congress says in the FCRA, okay? Because this is very important. We're not gonna go through it all, but we wanna highlight some key things. Congress, not Tanya, not Pastor, not Brother Floyd, Sister Carla, but Congress says that the banking system is dependent upon, what's that? Fair and accurate. It also states that the consumer reporting agencies have assumed a vital role in assembling and evaluating the consumer credit and other information on consumers. And look down here at the bottom, y'all probably can't see, but look down here at the bottom. It further goes on to say that it is the purpose of this title to require that consumer reporting agencies adopt reasonable procedures for meeting the needs of commerce for consumer credit, personnel, insurance, and other information. But look there, again, we got those two words with regard to the confidentiality and what? Okay, so guys, we want to hold on to those two words, okay, with three words: fair, accurate, and relevant, because those three words are going to be our friend as we go through this credit, okay? So following through on some of the fundamentals, we are familiar with what a credit score is, and as I stated, it's kind of like our financial report card, and we'll see that in a minute. But depending on your age, you may know credit as being the Beacon score, okay? I might be telling on myself, I'm only 27 though. So if you remember the Beacon score was developed by Equifax in '89, but then we have the Vantage scoring system. It's most popularly used by Credit Karma, okay? If anybody's familiar with Credit Karma? Who like Credit Karma? Y'all don't think Credit Karma trick y'all sometimes? It's not a trick, guys, okay? We're gonna find out the difference. Credit Karma uses the Vantage credit scoring, where most lenders and stuff uses the FICO credit score, okay? And we'll talk about that a little later. So, but these are just the fundamentals about credit. The FICO scoring system is the #1 scoring system used in the USA. It's used by 90% of lenders, okay? So when we talk about credit, guys, what is good credit? Now, over more recent years, they didn't kind of boost up the credit scores and everything, because remember, once upon a time, it was 600 was considered a good credit score. Who remember them days? Sister Carla, but now, when you look at 600 credit scores, where does it fall? Because the scale changes. But again, credit is like our financial report card, okay, guys? And like I was telling the young lady, this is how lenders judge us. So I want to break down these numbers right here, because I truly believe that when we understand these numbers, then we can really restore our credit. Guys, it's an algorithm to this credit. The problem is that, you know, a lot of us don't understand the algorithm, and that's what we're going to learn today, so we can all control our credit. So the lowest credit score you can have in the United States is 300. The highest credit score you can have is 850. And so that gives us about 550 points between poor and excellent credit. Who want to learn how to get those 550 points? All right. So guys, let's break down the numbers, okay? So it's 5 components to credit. The 5 components to credit, this is our credit reel. Payment history, 35%. So it's about 192.5 points that you can get in that component, okay? You ever hear people say, I got a 730-something credit score, and they still deny me. Oh yeah, you can have a high score, but poor structure, and you will still get denied for things, because it's not just about the score, but it's about the structure as well. So payment history, 35%, 192.5 points up in that component. Utilization, 30%, 165 points in that component. And guys, as you can see from our reel right here, payment history and utilization, they make up over half of our credit scores. Over half of our credit scores. And as we'll see a little later, it gets to the point where utilization actually controls your score. And those with credit cards out there, I know y'all know what I'm talking about, but it's okay, because we're going to talk about how we can, you know, get on top of our utilization. So payment history, which is also our credit age, makes up 15% of our credit scores. You can get 82.5 points there. And then you have your new credit, your credit mix. So a lot of people are really afraid, especially our older generation is really afraid of that new credit and everything. But guys, you have to be open to new credit. Every 2 to 3 years, you want to responsibly revisit new credit. Why? One, because it makes up 10% of your credit score, and you can get 55 points up in that area. So you get to a point where your credit is like in a stagnation stage. It's because you have other components of that credit score, other components of that credit reel that you have to massage. You can only pay your bills on time forever and ever, amen, and then after that, what you gonna do? So you have to massage the other components of this credit reel. When you talk about credit mix, we have 2 types of credit mix: our installment and our revolving credit there. So guys, let's dive a little deeper into these components, okay? So payment history, pretty self-explanatory. You know, you want to pay your bills on time. One late payment, I think I heard someone say earlier out here about how a payment, you know, really hurt your score. Absolutely. Payment history is the largest part of your credit score, and one late payment can lower your score by 60 to 80 points. Multiple late payments can reduce your score by up to 110 points. The higher your score, the bigger impact, okay? So it's very important that you make on-time payments. The on-time payment shows the lenders that you can use the debt responsibly, but again, you know, when you have a late pay that falls in your credit profile, it can stay on there for up to 48 months. Most of the times, it can stay on there for up to 36 months. It stays on there for 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. Okay. I didn't hear what you were saying. Oh, okay. So it's on there for 2 to 3 years. Okay. Now, a good way to help out your payment history, you know, because again, when you're paying your bills on time and everything, it's like, what more can I do? So a way that you can boost your points in this component is to use the split payment hack. Anybody out here familiar with the split payment hack? You are good. The split payment cap is a way, guys, that we can really garner more points in that area. Because again, if you all green on how you pay your bills, it's like, okay, what do I do in that area? So with this, it's tricking the system into thinking you're making 2 payments. So for instance, let's just say you have $100 credit card payment, okay? And you're going to make that $100 payment. So what you want to do, let's just say that bill is due on the 23rd of the month. You're more than likely going to have that statement the first week of the month. We can all agree to that? And your payment is going to be $100. What you're going to do is you're going to take $50 of that, and you're going to make it 3 days after you receive the bill. Going to take the other $50 and you want to pay it at least 3 days before the due date. So if your due date is April 23rd, you want to pay it on released by April the 20th. What that does is, by the time your statement date and your report date hits and goes back to the bureaus, now they see 2 payments. Even though it was only your $100, but you took that and you split it into 2. So that's a way that you can kind of maximize your points in the payment history category, okay? Of course, paying your bills on time, boost your score, and the best practice is to really set up automatic payments, but guys, I know that's a learned behavior, it takes discipline, so if you're not at the point where you can set up automatic payments, then you at least want to set up payment reminders, okay? Because as we stated, paying your bills on time every time is crucial, and one late payment can lower your score by how much? Okay. Next one is credit utilization. So credit utilization. Now the rule of thumb is to keep utilization under 30%, okay? What that basically means is that if you have a $1,000 credit card, you don't want to go more than 30% over that threshold. So roughly you don't want to keep it up under $300, okay? So utilization is basically how we use our credit, okay? The amounts owed versus the balance, okay? So if you have a $10,000 credit card and you have used $7,000 of that balance, you are way over your utilization. To lenders and borrowers, you look irresponsible, and your credit worthiness looks a little challenging. So utilization is how responsibly you're using your credit card limits, okay? And like I said, utilization, it controls your score. You will get to a point in your credit where the only thing you can do is really keep your utilization low, guys. I work with clients all the time with their credit, even me myself. When you get up there in the high 7s, 8s, and everything, your utilization, it cannot even be 10%. When you get up there, to maintain those higher credit scores, you need to be working with like a 5% or lower. Currently, right now, I was working with a 4% utilization and everything to maintain my scores. Just being real, around the holidays, credit card utilization went a little higher, so we may be about 11% now. But at any rate, utilization begins to control your score. So it's very important. So you want to keep the credit utilization under 30%. You want to aim for 10 to 30% for best scores. You want to pay off high utilization credit cards first and regularly review and adjust your utilization. You also can help your utilization by increasing your credit limit. If you are responsible with your credit card usage, there's what's called a credit card limit increase that most companies will give you if they're like a major credit card. When you're dealing with subprime credit cards, like your Credit First Bank, your Credit One Bank, your First Premier banks, it's almost hard to get increases with them. When they do give you increases, they be very small. But credit limit increases are a way that you can help your utilization and also new credit, because new credit gives you, those additional credit lines, which is also going to help your utilization, okay? So utilization makes up 30% of our credit score, 165 points there. So credit history, which is the next component. Credit history basically makes up 15% of our credit scores, 82.5 points you're able to get up in that component. Credit history, basically the only thing you guys can do with that, as opposed to having being added as an authorized user, is just letting the time go on. Credit history is basically the length and age of your credit. So if you know someone, if you're trying to build up, your credit history, and you know someone, family or friend, with a credit card with good history, you can become an authorized user for them. If you yourself already have good credit and you want to help pass that on to a family member or your children, guys, I helped build up my kids' credit. So my son graduated from high school in 2022 with a 734 credit score. You guys will see that shortly. And, we want to pass that on to our kids. We don't want our kids getting it out the mud like we had to get it out the mud, We want to pass these habits, and these disciplines on to our children. As you can see right here, I have two examples of two of my credit cards where I'm the primary, and my sons are authorized users. Now, did I give them a card? Of course not, okay? We're talking about well, now they're 20, 17, and 14. So no, guys, as an authorized user, you don't have to give the authorized user a card. I tell people all the time, when you're doing it for your kids or a family member, have the card come to you, and when the card comes, cut it up. I didn't cut my kids' cards up, but they don't never see them. they never see them. So credit age, a longer credit history with on-time payments can increase your score by up to 50 points. So you see, credit age is important. That's why we tell people you don't want to close credit card accounts. I see people that get so fed up with credit because credit is creative, okay? And it's not always colorful, but it is creative. People get fed up with credit, like, oh, I paid it off and I closed the card. And I'm cringing like, don't close the account, Even if you're just putting, gas on it once a month, you have your cell phone bill going on it and you paying it off. Don't close your card, because when you close your card, you're losing credit history, and it's affecting your credit score by 15%. Up to 82.5 points there, okay? So late payments typically reflect, again, on your credit report, like I said, for 24 to 48 months. So credit mix, new credit. These two components here both weigh 10%, 55 points. Credit mixture is only two types of credit mixture: your installment accounts, which is like your mortgages, student loans, car payments, and then you have your revolving accounts, which are your credit cards. New credit, when you add trade lines on there, I'm gonna get the question. I'm gonna run through it and I'm gonna get all the questions. Okay, Queen, I got you. Trade lines is another way for you to establish new credit, and the trade line, guys, is just a credit card. And I'm going to try to get to how, once you get your credit up to where you have, good credit and stuff, you can actually use your credit to leverage money, so we'll talk about that. Department store cards, I put them separately because I want you guys to understand there is a difference. A lot of people lump their credit cards and charge account cards together. There is a difference, and they do weigh differently on your credit report as well. Secure credit cards is another way to have no credit. Guys, my credit was so jacked up. Like I said, I was a 423 and a 510 was my credit score, okay? I'm looking like a Tennessee and a California area code, but ain't nobody calling but bill collectors, and I don't want to talk to them, So, I really had to start rebuilding my credit with the secure credit card, okay? And not only was my credit jacked up, but my change was strange, so I had to start with a $200 credit card, okay? So it can be done. Also, rental history is another way that we can also get to build new credit. There are a lot of properties now that are using your renter history. And then there's credit builders account, like your Kickoff, your Kovo, and things like that. So those are the ways that you're able to build up your credit. Those are the 5 components of credit. I want to get into some facts and hacks about credit, and then I'll take questions, okay? Is that cool? All right, so some facts and hacks about credit, guys. Before you start tackling and working on your credit, or even have someone tackling and working on your credit, get the full picture. Everyone is able to pull a free 3-bureau credit report by going to annualcreditreport.com. Okay, that's free. You're able to get one every year. It only gives you your credit report, not your credit scores. So if you are wanting to get your credit report and your scores, because it's important to know not just what they're reporting on you, but also how they're scoring you, you can utilize a 3-bureau report plus the scores. I like smartcredit.com. Excuse me. That link up there is, in fact, my affiliate link. And for those that's a part of this Renaissance Summit, if you pull your credit from that Smart Credit link, you will in fact receive a complimentary credit consultation with myself. This link will give you both your report and your scores. So you want to get a full picture before you start working on your credit, so you know what's on there. You want to freeze your reports. Now guys, you don't want to put a freeze on, if you're going to be working on your credit and things like that, you don't want to put a freeze on with the major 3 bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You want to freeze it with the 10 consumer reporting agencies, okay? You can find the list of those consumer reporting agencies at this link here, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Excuse me. You can find the list there. It's hundreds of them. It's about 10 that I recommend you freezing. LexisNexis, guys, let's just be honest, they should be a 4th bureau, okay? They have their hands in everything. But LexisNexis, you want to freeze them. CoreLogic, Clarity Services. Did you guys know that Experian or Equifax, one of them, owns Clarity Services? These baby bureaus, the consumer reporting agencies, a lot of them are owned by the bigger bureaus, and that's how they're getting our information, guys. They're polling it from these consumer reporting companies, these CRAs. They're polling our information from there because they house everything: old historical addresses, employers, old accounts, bankruptcies. All of those things is being housed and is being pulled. So you want to freeze your report with these entities, okay? And my information will be provided at the end. So if you want to know the 10 that we use, I can provide you guys with the 10 as well. I have some little gifts, well, not gifts, but I have some little giveaways for you guys that's interested in doing DIY credit. I have some things that will help you with that, so you don't have to fumble through it like I did, okay? So you want to clean up your profile. Remove old addresses, name variances, and previous employers, okay? And guys, remember, that stuff is not supposed to be on our credit report anyway, because what did we say in the first slide? What did it say? It has to be what? Well, if you're no longer living there, how accurate is that address on your credit profile, right? It also said it has to be what? If you're no longer living there, how relevant is it? So we definitely want to make sure that we are cleaning up and removing our old addresses. And guys, did you know your credit scores can go up from that? I have seen credit scores increase almost 60 points simply by cleaning up old addresses, name variances, and employers. But the main reason why you want to clean this up is because they may just be associated with old debts, okay? So you definitely want to remove those things, but more importantly, because that information is not what? Absolutely. So, credit sweeps, guys, they're illegal. Point and simple, they're illegal. Anyone come to you talking about a credit sweep, run, okay? Credit sweeps are illegal because basically what they're doing is they're taking your information and they're saying, this is in my account, this is fraud, this is in my account, this is fraud. Now, if you are a victim of identity theft, and if the account's on there is fraudulent, then by all means, you want to go through the steps of removing it off your credit. But a credit sweep is illegal because they take you through, they have you fill out police reports saying that it's not your account. Well, at this point now, you're falsifying a police report and you're also defrauding the SEC and the CFPB, okay? So, credit sweeps are illegal. Credit cleanups are perfectly legal, and the credit cleanup does just that. Remove old addresses, name variances, and previous employers so that you can go and have those derogatory things legally and lawfully removed, okay? So, you also want to remove unnecessary inquiries. Lenders don't like to see a bunch of inquiries that's not associated with an account. If it's associated with an account, you want to leave it on there. Because if you dispute an inquiry that's associated with an open account, they can come back and close your account because they may think it's fraud. So when you have inquiries on your credit profile that's not associated with an open account, have it removed. Have it removed, okay? Rule of thumb, you really don't want to have more than like 2 to 4 inquiries on your credit report, especially if they're not associated with an open account. So you want to challenge derogatory items. Now, the way that we're challenging these items, guys, you know, we're not saying it's not our account. If it really is, you know, we're having the bureaus verify it because the Fair Credit Reporting Act says what? They have assumed a vital role in assembling and evaluating that. So if it's something on my credit report, it's not up to me to prove to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion that this count should, because first of all, who do they verify with? How many people get a phone call before an account appears on their credit report? Or even, you know, whether it's derogatory or not. How many people get a phone call? I filed a bankruptcy. My bankruptcy was on my credit report. I'll show you guys in a minute where I had to remove. But my bankruptcy was on my credit report. Nobody said, hey, Tanya, we got a bankruptcy report in here. Did you go file bankruptcy in Atlanta? But it was on my credit report. So if the courts didn't verify my bankruptcy with the bureaus, and I didn't verify my bankruptcy with the bureaus, how they got my bankruptcy on my credit report? Who verified it? That's an unverified account. And it's up to the bureaus to prove to me that this account belongs on my credit report. And if they can't, according to the law, not Tanya, not Brother Floyd, Sister Carla, or anyone else, but according to the FCRA, they have to remove it. It's kind of like either prove or remove, one of those things. So when you go and you're challenging your derogatory items, you want to list it as an unverified account, guys, okay? You don't have to go through, you know, this is not my account. You know, these letters that we provide to you guys, or even if you're going to do a DIY, the letter simply needs to state that it's an unverified account because it wasn't verified with you. And so how is it on your credit report? Fair enough? So you want to establish new credit. And again, even if that means opening up a secure credit card, guys, you've got to be open to new credit, okay? But you want to do it responsibly. We want to do it responsibly. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Oh, no, we can take that question if you guys have more questions about establishing new credit. Also, you want to monitor your progress regularly and check your credit scores, okay? Because, guys, you can't fix what you can't monitor, okay? So it's important that you're monitoring your credit scores. So I want to debunk a couple of myths and everything. Biggest myth about bankruptcy, guys, like I said, I'm very transparent. I filed bankruptcy. Life got the lifing, okay? And I filed bankruptcy. And there was a misconception at that time that I had to wait 7 to 10 years to get it off. Well, guys, I got my bankruptcy off in 4 years. You'll see it on the next slide. 4 years, and if I knew then what I knew now, it wouldn't even took me 4 years to get it off. Because, again, the misconception is that bankruptcy have to stay on there for 7 to 10 years. And that's true. That's the maximum time. But the law does not give a minimum. You can actually start the process to remove your bankruptcy as soon as it's discharged. We've had clients, we've gotten their bankruptcy removed in 5 months after discharge, okay? Charge-off and collections. I wanted to make sure that I hit this because this is huge. Guys, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever, did I say never? Ever, ever, pay a charge-off account, okay? Collections, to a degree, you don't have to pay either, depending on what phase of collection it is. But look, this, right, statute pulled out the FCRA, charge-offs and collections, what'd that say? According to who? Yes, because original creditors can't collect after a charge-off. There's this thing called the cancellation of debt, and I'm sure maybe in the tax section they'll talk about it. A cancellation of debt. Once the original creditor has filed that under a cancellation of debt, they may send you a 1099-C, depending on the circumstances and the amount, but they can't come after you and collect it. That's why you have these third-party companies. Oh, we're calling on behalf of Well, they didn't buy your debt, they bought your data. And there's a difference. Think about it. If JCPenney couldn't collect your $3,500, you think the ABC collection company gonna go and purchase this $3,500 debt that JCPenney couldn't? No, they bought your data, okay? So, you do not have to pay it after it's been charged off. They can't collect on debts older than 7 years, and they try. They do try. In addition, third-party collectors have what? Limited rights. Because if I sign a contract with Macy's and that card goes into default, and ABC Collection Company come after me, well, I don't have a contract with ABC Collection Company, and I'm gonna stand up on that, okay? Because the FCRA says that it's with the original creditor, and if the original creditor can't collect, why do we owe the third-party agency? We don't. But a lot of us don't know that. They'll try to take you to court. Go. For real, go. And you want to have them validate that debt. Before you go to court, you want to make sure that you send them what's called a debt validation letter. And that debt validation letter, they have to provide certain things. And it's the original signature of that contract. It's proof that the debt is owed to them. They have to show proof that they are even able to collect in your city and state. Do you know it'd be some people down from Arkansas trying to collect the debt in Georgia just because they got a collector's right in Arkansas? It don't work like that. They have to be licensed to collect in your state, and we have, gotten a lot of things thrown out of court because of that. We've gotten a lot of things thrown out of court because they couldn't validate the debt. Okay, so if you don't, knowledge is power, guys. And that's why what we do with Essential Enterprises, we believe education is truly the way that you restore your credit, okay? Because when you know better, you do better. So, understanding your rights, knowing these FCRA statutes empowers you to manage your credit. So, guys, as I stated, life got the life for me, okay? This right here is kind of blurry, but this was my credit report when I was working on credit, okay? As you guys can see, what's that? Bankruptcy. I had one. But what happened? Outcome what? Okay, yep, I do taxes, but guess what? I owe the IRS. You know why? Because when your business make money, Uncle Sam wants some too, okay? And so, we have IRS up here, student loans, guys, listen, when I tell y'all it was a mess, my credit was a mess, okay? But the thing is this, what'd that say? Outcome. And do you guys see what type of accounts these are? Department of Education, what's that? Credence, resource management, what's that? Third-party collection. Carter Young Incorporated, what's that? You know, Money Lion Incorporated. I was all over the place, guys. But the thing is this, as you can see, these things can be deleted. Internal Revenue Service, you know, Convergent. We all know what that is, well, most of us anyway. You know, these are collections and stuff. So anything on your credit can be disputed and deleted, okay? This is why I told you my son, Mikhail Overby, remember the slide with the authorized users? And we were talking about the, here we go. We were talking about adding our kids on there. Guys, our kids shouldn't have to get it out the mud, okay? We're gonna get our credit together. We're gonna bring our kids right along with us. My son graduated in 2002 with a 734 credit score, okay? Set him up in life to be able to control the conversations at the negotiation tables, okay? When he goes and apply for things, you know, he's able to set his terms, you know, as opposed to them saying, well, you can only get this, you can only get that. And I mean, that's powerful. That's powerful. So guys, I do want to allow some time for some questions. Before I jump into that, just want to show you guys, oh, it's not on here. Okay, just want to share with you guys really quick, because Miss Gucci Queen up here, I love this woman. This is actually one of my good personal friends. She and I have been knowing each other for quite a while, and she has an amazing credit testimony. And I just would like to give her the floor for a few minutes if I can, guys, so she can just tell you guys about her testimony, okay? Because when you leverage your credit, it really does put you in a different atmosphere. So take it away, Queen.
Thank you,
You're
Queen.
welcome. Thank you.
This is my business bestie. Is it working? Can you hear me?
He's coming with a mic.
Yay! This is my business bestie, Tanya. She's so awesome. So I want to share my testimony about credit. And all I want to say is thank you, Lord, for good credit. Thank you, Lord, for good credit, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have good credit. And I say that to say, because when I first bought my rental property, I took all my life savings and I put it into a property when the market crashed back in 2011. I used to be this good. I just used to work, save money, and then I didn't know really what I was saving money for, but I just knew that it was good to save money. So the market happened to crash, and the houses were cheap. So I bought this multi-family property, and I had the money in the bank, and I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna take this money and I'm gonna pay for the house, and God got me after that. I'm gonna see God's gonna work it out some type of way. So I took the money and I paid for the house. So when I paid for the house needed repairs. And if I didn't have good credit, I wouldn't have no money to repair this property that I bought, because all my money went to that property because I wanted to bypass the 30-year mortgage. I come from Senegal, West Africa, and growing up in Senegal, when I was young, there was no mortgages. We had to pay cash for everything. If you wanted to buy a car, you pay cash. If you wanted to buy a house, you pay cash. So that's the mindset I had when I came to America. I thought everything had to be cash, cash, cash. So it kind of worked out for me because I bought the property, and because of my good credit, I was able to go to Home Depot, and they gave me a credit line. Went to Lowe's, they gave me a credit line to fix my house. I wanted to change the windows. I went to Window World. They checked my credit. Every time when I walked in the door asking for money, asking for some loan, when they asked me for my social security number, my name, they checked, cling, cling, approved, cling, cling, approved. So because of credit, because of my good credit, that's why I was able to manage the property that I bought. Okay, so I say that to say that we have to pay our bills on time because it helps us. Okay, and I'm sharing this testimony just to say that credit will take you so far away, somewhere that you don't even imagine. Because when I was fixing my credit, building up my credit, I didn't know that I was gonna be a homeowner. I was gonna use it to fix my house. It just happened that the market crashed and I needed the credit and it was there, you know? So that's what I wanted to say about credit, because the Lord really helped me, you know, with this credit, so I was able to manage and work my business, because my credit is my business partner, guys. I call my credit my business partner. I don't let nobody use my credit. When people ask me for them to co-sign, I don't co-sign for nobody, because people will use your credit. You be nice, family members. I'm telling you, you know, they say, can I buy, you know, I don't have good credit. I want to get this place. I'd rather help you with your deposit, your security deposit, help you pay your rent than that you use my credit, because credit is so important, okay? So we were talking about today's doing business God's way. I do business God's way because before I was able to buy my properties, I was homeless. And the reason why I was homeless, temporarily homeless, not for too long, but the reason why I was homeless because I came from Senegal to here and my visa expired. I didn't have no papers, no social security. So everywhere I went to apply for an apartment, to give me a place to live, they denied me. And I keep telling them, I have cash. They say, well, cash don't work in this country. You need credit. That's how important credit is, I'm telling you. I'm like, you know, what are you talking about? He's like, no. Do you have a social security number? We need to run your credit. I didn't have that. So God helped me and gave me paperwork. So that's why I value my credit so hard. And to tell you this, so today, the properties, I went from one property to two properties to multiple properties. I'm not going to disclose how many I got, but I got a lot, okay? Yes, I got a lot because I'm doing it God's way. And let me tell you, God is a merciful God, and I call myself a merciful landlord, okay? Do you know why I call myself a merciful landlord? Because I allow people who have eviction in their credit report. I allow people that have bad credit, because I've been there before. I didn't have no credit, so I knew where I come from. So we have to have... I'm the type of landlord that have sympathy for people because I understand where I come from. So people will come with eviction. I give them a place to stay. You know, I do take a deposit. You know, I take my deposit, you know, in case they default. But I will give them a place to live, you know. So that's why I said that I do, I'm a merciful landlord, because if everybody say no, because, you know, I'm a real estate agent, I'm licensed, so I could actually say, oh, I want you to make 3 times the rent. Right now, things are so expensive, it's so hard. People don't even have that income, 3 times the rent. So if everybody say no, I'm saying yes. I'm the smart landlord that will open up my property, my homes, and give people a chance, because everybody got a story. Just because you have an eviction in your credit report doesn't mean that you're a criminal. Things happen to the best of us. Life happens every single day. That's why I say that I do business God's way. And now that business, you know, like that property that I bought back in 2011, today is worth 9 times the price that I paid for it. Mm-hmm. Yes. And those multiple ones that I bought, all of them just escalated, and it's like worth so much money. And that's why I said, my business pays for my Gucci and my Prada that I wear. Okay? And I'm glad to talk about it. So use your credit to buy a house, okay? Please use your credit to buy a house. Don't use your credit to buy Gucci. It doesn't make sense, okay? Use it to buy a house, okay?
Income producing asset.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, that wraps it up, guys. I'm gonna say one thing. You know, they say cash is king, and that is true. But credit rules the kingdom, okay? And on that note, I'm done. All right. Okay. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, each segment, we can go all night. And we have been blessed, like I said, for all the information that we're receiving tonight. But we want to, it was all good, but we're going to let you guys go in a few minutes. And we want to thank all the speakers that spoke tonight. We want to thank everybody that came out. We had such a great time here. But before, we're going to actually close out, and Floyd has some information that he's going to give you before we leave, but I just want to kind of let you guys know that tomorrow, we're going to start back up tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the second day of the summit. Yes, and we didn't get a chance to go through all the questions.
Right, you said they had a couple of questions. I'm sorry. Did you want to get a
Okay, yeah, you come back up.
I'm sorry, guys. I was looking at the time. Questions, answers. Okay, I can take a couple of questions as long as they let me go. Yes, ma'am?
Me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I work for the IRS, and I just wanted to point out that cancellation of debt, they count that as income. There's a form that you need to fill out if you have a cancellation of debt. I cannot think of the form right now, the form number, because I had to use it one time. But they will count that as income. So make sure if you have a cancellation of debt that you file this form, you ask for this form so that they don't count it as income.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Another question?
When you were talking about the not to close the credit cards. So if you don't close it, is there any impact if you just don't use it?
Well, if you don't use it, sometimes great question. Sometimes the creditor will come back and close it for inactivity. So you want to put something on. That's why I said if you just have take your lowest bill, or you may want to turn it into a gas card. You're going to put the money for the gas in the tank anyway. Put it on the card. Put the money. Pay the money onto the card. That way you're getting some usage and you're not going to risk the chance of your credit card getting closed due to inactivity, okay? Because they will do that. Yes, ma'am? Do I need to? Oh, no, okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
What if you have already begun your payments, making your payments to the creditor, to those people that maybe have a third party? Should you continue that, or should you stop it and go another route?
Yeah, if you already are making your payments to them, you more than likely have signed something agreeing to that debt. It still doesn't hurt to make them validate the debt, okay? Because you can still, if they can't validate the debt, now you have grounds of, I'm not paying this because it wasn't validated. So what I tell people is that, if you've gotten yourself to that point where you've already agreed to it and everything, still send a validation of debt letter, If they stop the payments, wouldn't you want them to stop it at you only paying, $5,000 of the debt instead of the whole $15,000? So I would still send a validation of debt letter because the debt has to be validated. Any other questions? Yes.
I got you.
How did you get student loan debt moved from your credit report?
I prayed. Now I want to say this. Even though the student loan is removed off of your credit report, guys, it doesn't negate your responsibility to pay. And there is another system that house student loan debt that if you're trying to apply for government housing and things of that nature, if you still have that student loan debt, you can be declined for that, okay? So I like to tell the good, the bad, and the indifferent. But how do I get it removed off of there? Strategy. Those bureaus who we talked about shut down and everything, we put the freeze on those. You opt out of LexisNexis because LexisNexis is all up in your business and stuff. But strategy, you have my contact information. You want a one-on-one with me, I'll give you the strategy, okay? Strategy. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just real quick. I know you were talking about cleaning up any of the information that you want, I guess, removed from your credit report. Which agency would you go to for doing that?
I'm sorry, y'all women know what's going on right now.
Already know. Already know.
What was your question?
So which credit bureau would you go to clean up your credit? How do you know which one to go to?
All of them, yes.
All three?
That's why you want to get the full picture, okay? You want to pull your 3-bureau report so that you can see who's saying what about you. And if Equifax have an address on there that's old or a name variance on there, you want to go after Equifax, okay? And sometimes, guys, I'm going to say this real quick, especially with dealing with bankruptcies, sometimes you got to go bureau to bureau because, again, the FCRA says that it has to be fair, accurate, and relevant. So if Equifax is not reporting my bankruptcy and Experian not reporting my bankruptcy, why are you reporting it, TransUnion? And I literally had to go bureau to bureau with them in the end to get that bankruptcy off my third report. So you want to pull your report, and whichever agency has the inaccurate information, you want to go after them. And we have letters and strategies for that too, guys, okay? Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Jones again. Now, 3 weeks ago, I got indicated from Gary, Indiana, for a ticket that was 2013. They sent me a paper for 2013 when I was staying in Indiana, Gary. They said, we're going to, what they say, suspend my license? I've had my license 3 or 4 times in there. Do I have to pay them if I have a signed agreement, or what would be my options?
Who's coming after you? Is it their original creditor?
No, the second-hand people.
Oh, no. What you want to do is you call me, okay? Let's get them together, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Set up a consultation, okay? Because we definitely have strategies for that, but do not pay third-party creditors. Any other questions?
Right here, over here.
Hello, everyone. That was a great presentation. I just have to tell you that first. So I want to speak to specifically when you said to help your children to build their credit. So this is a strategy that my mom just kind of created on her own. So in the 2008 crash, they had several properties, but then they had to foreclose several of them, so that messed up her credit. So over time, what she did is when I got old enough to get credit, and I didn't get credit until I was 22 years old, I had opened up a card, and what she would do is make big purchases using my card on my credit, but because she had the cash, which is king, she paid into the kingdom, which is the credit, and that was into mine. So I always had amazing credit, and I haven't actually really started using my card till my early 30s. So just wanted to say there are ways to help your children. Even if your credit's not perfect, you can help theirs, and that overall helps the whole unit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Queen, did you know that you can utilize your good credit to make money? Trade lines is a real lawful thing, and people pay for those. So if you're not currently utilizing your good credit to make good money, you want to call me as well, okay? So credit is not just for people that have credit challenges, okay? Our credit assistance, we help people that even have, good credit. We help them leverage their credit to make income. So, I'm sorry, I know I don't want to wear you.
You're good.
Oh, no,
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Just one, I've always wanted to know, non-credit card debt, like storage bills, a gym membership, those things that you could pay monthly, but they're not really a credit card, or is it the same?
So those are those will go on your report as installment accounts. Remember, it's 2 types of credit. So that falls under an installment account because it's something that you're paying monthly. It's not a revolving account like the credit card. If you're building up your credit and you want accounts like that on there, fine. Personally, guys, I don't like accounts like that on there. How many guys have fallen behind on their gym memberships? And it's going to show up. You know what I'm saying? So it's a catch-22, to each his own. But personally, if I was your credit coach, I would tell you, don't go through with that. You know what I'm saying? There's other more strategic ways to build up your credit than to have those type of accounts that really doesn't have a lot of bearing on your credit anyway until you pay late. The good part is not really helping, but you pay late, it's going to tank you. It's going to tank you, so I'm sorry. Any other questions? We're good? All right.
We got one more question.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that.
We got one more question. One more question.
Yes.
One more question.
My question is, how come when you pay something off your credit card, your score goes down?
Well, understand that when you pay something off your credit card, that line is doing what? More than likely is closing. So you're losing now because you got to close. That account is no longer reporting on there. So you're losing points in that component right there. That's why. So, but the way to massage that is to massage the other components of credit. But again, it happens because that account is no longer reporting, so your credit age is affected. Yeah.
Awesome.
We're good?
All right, if you need to get in touch with Tanya, she did a great job. Give her a hand.
Yes. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Definitely hit the QR code and set up some time to do a one-on-one with Tanya and her team. She has a whole team. They do this all day, every day, professionally.
Cliff, okay. Thank you.
Great. For the next 2 days, what I'm going to do is integrate the rest of the strategies of getting to getting the cash reserves and all the things we talk about, developing a budget. I'll try to work on that tomorrow. We're going to talk about how to set up an investment account. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of detail, but you can set up some things afterwards. But we're going to integrate that into tomorrow as well as Sunday. So make sure you come, because the bulk of the applications that I'm going to be teaching is going to be tomorrow and Sunday. We just touched the surface, so we're going to talk about how to put together the budget, how to learn how to create a portfolio, right? And I'm not going to tell you what to put in there, but I'm going to show you how to create a portfolio and how to really educate yourself on what's in your 401k. Because that was going to be a question I was going to ask today, I'll ask tomorrow. How many of you got to have a 401k? Okay. How many of you know what's in your 401k? Do you really? Okay, that's good. Okay. So if you come back tomorrow, I'm going to test you to see if you know exactly what's in your 401k, because most people have no idea. We're going to be talking about, no matter where you are, you can start building a portfolio. And this, how many of you have, many of you probably already have an account with Acorn. Anybody? Good. You like that account? Love it. If you have $5, so there's no excuse to say, I can't start an investment account. I can't save money. If you're having challenge with saving money, if you're not undisciplined, this is the way you can do it right here, because you can start investing with $5. And the power of that is incredible, because you can start with $5, and the compounding effect over time will actually have you set up enough money so you can start putting your money in other investments like ETFs and stocks and mutual funds. But they start with $5, and it's ingenious, because this is how it works. You all are spending money. You're always spending money on your credit cards and debit cards on a regular basis. I use my credit card my debit card every single day. If you spend $3.45, and I did today, what Acorn would do is, once you sign up with them, they'll round it up to the nearest dollar and put that money in an investment account. Now, no, Charles Schwab is not going to do that. Morgan Stanley's not going to do that. But they'll take 55 cents and start you on your journey to create an investment account. Those add up. Before you know it, you got $40 in your account from just the change from your transactions. And then you have 100. I know people who have $10,000, $20,000 in their account, and they started with the Acorn. So if you like to do that, and then once you get a certain amount, then they'll start talking to you about IRAs and traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. We'll talk about some of that tomorrow. But this is where you start if you feel like I don't have anything. You do. And you can just go to acornswillgrow.com, and if you do that, they'll give you $5, right? When you do that, to start, right? You'll start with $5 and they'll give you $5, okay? So go to that, and we'll talk more about the investment side on tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
All right, guys. So as we're closing out, of course, we want to give another thank you to our 3 presenters today, Dr. Orpheus Hayward, Floyd Williams Jr., and Tanya Sellers. I know if you all have been here for the entire evening, as we have been, we've received a lot of valuable information, but there's so much more to come. So tomorrow and Sunday, we will continue with this amazing presentation and information. So please come back, invite friends, and make this an opportunity to make a change in your life.
So the theme for tomorrow is mortgages, home ownership, and stewardship. But of course, like Brother Williams said, that we're gonna he's gonna kind of massage some of these things that we were talking about today and tomorrow's session, so that you guys can get a full picture of how to walk out of here with a plan. And that's our goal. So thank you guys so much for coming out, and give yourselves a round of applause for being here.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.